What's going on, Rebel fans? This is the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. All right, this is going to be a quick episode today, just some few things I want to go over. To start off with, something I want to, rant about a little bit. Won't spend a lot of time on this subject, but one of the things I really wanted to do going into this new year, one of my New Year's resolutions was I want to start eating better. Typically, I am a healthy eater, though I did get off track in the last few months, and I have not been eating the best diet. And it really does play such a massive difference in your overall life and well-being if you eat right, okay? So the topic I want to discuss and what I want to talk about is how complicated it seems to be on what is considered healthy. So think about what you consider to be a healthy diet. You'll probably start thinking, lots of vegetables, fruit, right? This topic is annoyingly complicated. And the reason it's annoying is because you get so many different opinions on what is healthy. Trust me when I say this, any food you can think of, anything, there's going to be someone out there that believes that is unhealthy, and they will give you reasons why it's unhealthy. Go ahead and Google, is blank healthy for you? You're going to find an article that says it's bad for you. I'm not joking. Try it if you don't believe me. So even vegetables is kind of like the number one thing that, for the most part, everyone agrees is healthy for you, right? Well, there's a pretty large community of people out there in the carnivore community, and I'm someone that actually did carnivore diet before I tried it out. There was I had a good experience with it, but also had some bad experiences with it. That's another discussion for another day. But anyways, the carnivore community, they believe you should not eat vegetables because vegetables have a defense mechanism, so to speak, that when you eat them, you're putting something into your body that's not good for your body, that's not supposed to be there, because vegetables and plants don't want to be eaten, and that's how they defend themselves. Okay, now someone says, well, animals don't want to be eaten either. Well, animals have claws, and they're fast, and they have teeth, and so that's their way of defending themselves, right? So that was the argument, and that's obviously a very dumbed-down version of it. It's a lot more complicated, but the point is, there's people that say vegetables are bad for you. There's people that say fruit is bad for you. All right. And then, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, there's, a lot of people out there that think meat is bad for you. All right. Any diet you could think of, keto, carnivore, Whole30, paleo, anything you could think of, there's going to be people that believe that's the way you should eat. So this is the advice I give to people when they ask me, like, what should I eat? I want to get healthy. I want to eat the right foods. What should I eat? First of all, it's find out what works for you. You can start off with an elimination diet. And that's one of the good things about carnivore is it is a very good elimination diet. So you remove all these foods you were eating, and then you start slowly adding in new ones to see how your body reacts to it. So veganism, for example. A lot of people get healthy when they turn to vegan and think it's because meat is bad. So that was it the whole time. It was just meat. It's like, no, it's because before you were eating McDonald's and Jack in the Box and microwavable pizza and crackers, cookies, chips, and now all of a sudden you're getting vegetables for the first time in your life. So you're giving your body nutrition that it's so desperately needing. So you're going to get results from it. Okay, that's why so often people become a vegan because they think that's the way you're supposed to eat. And all of a sudden they're losing weight and they feel better and they think, oh yeah, it was the meat the whole time. Say, no, it's more complicated than that. But if veganism is something that works for you, by all means, do it. Okay, whether you're doing it for health reasons or moral reasons, just stick to it. Consistency, right? So that's what my advice is, like, figure out what foods your body agrees with. And now the next question is how much, like, what percentage of your diet should be towards healthy eating versus like your favorite snacks that aren't so healthy, right? Because some people believe you should never eat anything bad ever, right? And then there's the other end where people are like, these are the foods that make me happy, and I'm going to eat these foods because life isn't worth living if I'm not happy, right? Like, there's the joke of like, well, don't you want to live to be 100? Well, not if I can't eat tacos, right? So in my opinion on that is, okay, you can eat healthy and be happy. There's not like one or the other, right? you're more likely to be happy if you eat healthy. Now, with that being said, I'm someone who loves food that's not healthy from time to time. I love tacos. I have a weird obsession with pancakes. Okay, burgers, pizza. I love it. I absolutely love it. Drinking beer. Okay, there's nothing more fun to me than sitting in a sports bar with my friends, downing a few beers, watching the game, eating some chicken wings. I love it. Okay, it's all about moderation. So this is my rule: 80% of your total caloric intake have them come from whole foods, natural foods, foods that expire in a week. Okay, just get some form of protein in there, chicken, beef, whatever. If you go vegan, make sure that you're getting, enough protein in your diet, and then get some variety of fruits and vegetables, and then add in, like, that's another topic, right? Are carbs bad? Okay, carbs. There's pros and cons to carbs. I'm a firm believer that you need to throw some carbs in because it makes you more metabolically flexible, and it's a more sustainable way to eat, right? So throw in some healthy carbs, potatoes, maybe some rice, bananas, that sort of thing. So just have a wide range variety of healthy natural foods. Have that take up about 80% of your diet, and the other 20% be the foods that you love. This allows you to still have a little bit of sanity, enjoy the foods that you love to eat, but also stay healthy, right? And then as far as exercising, being healthy, that's a whole nother conversation. But I don't know. It annoys me how everyone seems like they have the answer of what's healthy and what's not. And I'm tired of hearing salt is bad for you. I'm tired of hearing red meat is bad for you. And people just believe all this stuff. It's amazing. We have the totality of human knowledge at our fingertips, yet people still believe the most ridiculous things when it comes to health and diet. Okay, that is all I wanted to rant about with that. I wasn't even planning on talking about that. It kind of just popped in my head right as I was getting ready to start recording, because I'm so tired of hearing, isn't that bad for you? Like, people still think eggs are bad for you. Eggs might be the healthiest food on the planet. So, all right. With all that being said, let's talk about UNLV basketball. Okay, really dark times right now with UNLV basketball. I feel like every episode I do talk about the Runnin Rebel basketball. It's always, it's negative. It's like how I was wrong about them. This team is soft, and I don't want to keep saying the same stuff over and over, but it's becoming more apparent the lengthier we get into the season with each game we play that this team just doesn't have it. There's things you can coach, there's things you can teach, and then there's some things that just, this is who you are, right? Unfortunately, we just do not have a tough team. We do not have a team of a bunch of dogs, okay? There was a lot of things I said about this team in the preseason, the reason I believed they were going to be good, and there were some things I was right about. There were some things I still believe. There was some things I've been wrong about, which I've acknowledged. Okay, one thing I was not expecting, though, that I was probably the furthest off about, was the tenacity, the physical toughness, the ability to rebound the ball, all those sort of things. I was so not expecting how bad we would be in that one particular area. Okay, some guys are just not winners. Okay, now how much of this is the players we have on this team versus the coaching? I think coaching has a lot to do with it. So I'm not in this Kevin Kruger is the worst coach on ever camp. There's this cult of people online that talk trash about Kevin Kruger and how much he sucks. And then on the complete opposite end, there's these people that just will defend him to death. They'll never say anything negative about him. They find any reason to not blame him for whatever. I'm kind of in the middle. I have definitely said my fair share of negative things about him. I have made fun of him for blowing so many leads. At the end of the day, I'm just a fan. Okay, so my emotion comes out over logic a lot of times when I'm speaking. And I record these things a lot of times, and I'm doing more emotion versus logic. I understand that, but you know what? That's the real me, and that's what this podcast is going to be. It's going to be me being myself, my authentic self, and and it's going to be some emotions involved because there's this. When it comes to UNLV Runnin Rebel basketball, I'm emotional, and I have been so active on social media, on Twitter, on this podcast about UNLV football, like tweeting so many things about our new recruits we have coming in, texting everyone about anything that has to do with UNLV football, Dan Mullen this, Dan Mullen that. And the reason I'm so into it right now, because it's really exciting, and it's absolutely awesome what's happening right now with UNLV football. But the main reason is I'm so depressed about what's happening with Runnin Rebel basketball that it helps me get my mind off of it, okay? We got completely just dump trucked. We got the crap kicked out of us against Boise State and Colorado State. Okay, we just were not in the same league of those two teams in that game, and we have seen this too many times this season. Okay, so this will be Kevin's last season. He's not going to turn it around at this point. I don't care who coaches this team. I don't care. Mike Krzyzewski could come out of retirement, Greg Popovich, anyone, think of anyone you can. It doesn't matter who coaches this team. They're not going to be able to turn it around enough to go to the NCAA tournament. It's not happening. We are going to have a new coach. Okay, that's just the reality of the situation we're in right now. However, I'm going to continue to rant, and I'm going to continue to be emotional. And 1 minute I'm like excited and happy and positive towards the Rebels, and the next minute I'm talking all kinds of crap, and I'm talking crap about Kruger, and I'm venting, and I'm angry, and everyone sucks. Yes, I'm a fan. Okay, I don't work for Fox Sports, CBS Sports. I'm not paid to like be logical and not. I can't attack anybody. I can't go after anyone. That's what this is. It's a podcast, right? This is just me being me. Okay. Which I feel like I keep repeating myself. I'm sorry about that. All right, so play Utah State tonight. We're currently 4.5-point underdogs. I feel like I want to go put my whole mortgage on that they're not going to cover. I'm not going to bet against the Rebels. It just feels wrong, even though I feel like I could make a lot of money if I bet against them. But knowing Kevin Kruger teams, knowing this Rebel team, this will be the game that they somehow figure out a way to win. And everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Like how bad the team was last year, and then we beat Creighton. Like no one saw that coming. It's kind of similar to how I see this game. I love the Rebels. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care what players are on the team. It doesn't matter. I'm going to root for them. It's my favorite team ever. I love them. It's just been a very, very depressing season so far. Okay, I wanted to keep this episode short, so I'm going to just briefly talk about UNLV football. We brought in a lot of recruits since I last talked about this subject. We brought in so many. My plan was to go over each recruit, where they came from, like what school they transferred from, their stats, what their star rating was out of high school, all that stuff. That was my plan. But we brought in too many guys. Since the last episode where I talked about the incoming players we brought in, I think there was like 6 at the time, maybe 7. And now I think there's well over 20. So there's too many to talk about, but I'm really loving who we're bringing in. Okay, we may not be bringing anyone in that's going to cause a huge splash in terms of like their star rating as a transfer. We're not bringing in some big time recruit that killed it at their previous school at a Power 4 school. But you know what we're doing that I think is brilliant, and I tweeted about this. We're bringing in very talented players that have a really high ceiling and tons of potential, but it just hasn't worked out thus far for whatever reason. Maybe they got kicked off the team for stealing a watch. Maybe they got lost in the shuffle, and they're competing with other very talented future NFL players for playing time, so they weren't able to win that starting job. Maybe they battled injuries. Whatever the case may be, we're bringing in a lot of guys, though, that have a very high ceiling. Talent. We're bringing in talent. Now, when I look at the 247 Sports rankings, because like in my head, and a lot of Rebel fans in their heads, were like, we're killing it in the transfer portal. This is exciting. Oh my goodness. And then you go look at the 247 rankings, and even though we're first in the Mountain West by a lot, we're only 60-something in the entire nation, which last year with under Barry Odom, we were 60 something in the nation. So you could look at that and be like, we're not doing as well as I thought we are. I wasn't expecting us to be so low. So, we're not going to be we're not going to be better next year. We're not even bringing in better players. Don't get too into those rankings. Those rankings are honestly absurd because we have really talented players that don't have any stars next to their name in the transfer rankings. They base those rankings off of production, the stats you put up, right? That's the main emphasis that they put in when determining your star rating. Okay? So we have guys that didn't play because they were hurt or they got removed from the team. They've bounced around a lot. Some things haven't gone their way, but they're really talented, and so they have no star rating. And if you have no star rating, you literally get no points for that, I guess, when they do the overall recruiting rankings. Okay, so a couple of the guys we brought in that were 4 or 5 star recruits out of high school don't have a star rating at all. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I don't even pay attention to the 247 rankings because it's cool to see UNLV towards the top. It's awesome to see that, but it could also discourage you if you think like, oh my goodness, we're killing it, but then we're only ranked 60 something in the rankings. Those rankings are a joke. I'm telling you right now. Do not take them serious. For example, Matthew Sluka, they have him rated higher, in fact, significantly higher than both Anthony Calandria and Alex Orji, our new, and I don't know if I'm saying Alex's name right, our new quarterbacks that we're bringing in. That is laughable. Absolutely laughable. We're talking about Matthew Sluka, who had a very, poor passing percentage. Someone who hasn't gotten any offers from any Power 4 schools, at least not any offers that was worth taking. He didn't see that coming. He thought after that hot start, he was going to go demand all this money, and then now all the big schools were going to come throwing all this money at him once he hit the transfer portal. It did not happen, so he ended up at Liberty. Not Liberty. Where did he go? Let me look it up real quick. James Madison. Sorry, I completely had a brain fart with that one. So after all that happened, that's where he ends up. I'm not no ill will towards him. Well, maybe a little bit. I've moved on from that situation. Someone was saying on Twitter the other day that we would have been better with him than Haj Malik Williams. I respectfully disagree with that. Though it's easy for me to have that opinion when he quit on the team and, we're not happy with him. I thought Haj did a great job, and I was very happy with having him as our QB1. Very excited for next year. Having Anthony Calandria and Alex Orji as our 2 quarterbacks, Alex is an amazing runner. Calandria, dual threat. We're going to have situational, times where we put in both players just based on, Alex will be great for goal line. He's an amazing athlete. Dan Mullen is going to work magic with those 2. And then we have 5 wide receivers who were 4-star recruits out of high school. Okay. One last mini rant, and then I'm done ranting, and then I'm going to wrap this up. I keep seeing, it's mainly one guy, but other people I've read also saying the same thing, stop posting their high school star rating. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what they've done in college. It's okay, let me explain something to you, why it matters. If you were highly ranked out of high school, there's a reason for it. Okay, that means you're talented. Talent in football is easier to measure than talent in basketball because athleticism is more important in football than it is in basketball in terms of athleticism to skill. Obviously, yes, football requires skill, of course. However, athleticism is more important. That's the reason guys can start playing football for the first time in their life, in their 20s, but they're an insane athlete and end up playing in the NFL, okay? You're not going to see that in the NBA. It's very, very rare, okay? So athleticism matters a lot. They're ranked high for a reason, meaning they had an incredible 40-yard dash and other types of testing they do. Okay, they dominated at a high level at prestigious schools. Okay, they're ranked high for a reason. They have a high ceiling. They're very talented. Okay, that's why it is relevant how high they were ranked out of high school. Now, if you're getting a guy that was a 4-star recruit out of high school automatically mean you're getting this superstar who, it should be the same amount of excitement as if you were getting him straight out of high school and he's never played a game yet? No, because he hasn't produced yet at the college level. My point is, it matters what their star rating was out of high school because it means they're talented. Talent is different from how good of a player you are, okay? How talented you are determines how good of a player you're capable of being, okay? Guys who have a lot of talent, they may not reach their full potential, okay, which keeps them from making it to the next level. Then you have guys that don't have that much natural talent, but they work their butt off, and even though they end up being a great college player, they don't make it to the next level because they don't have that minimal amount requirement of talent that you have to have. Okay, there's so much more I could talk about on all these subjects, but that's all I got for today. We'll see how this basketball game goes tonight against Utah State. You never know. We could pull it off. You never know. Till next time, Rebel fans.